Welcome to Wealth Hustle 247 podcast, your trusted guide to financial literacy, business innovation, and entrepreneurial success. Learn how to grow your wealth, make informed decisions, and turn your ideas into profitable ventures.
Ready to break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle? In this episode, we reveal 7 steps to financial freedom, a comprehensive guide, your roadmap to wealth and peace of mind. Let's get started.
All right, get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into creating a roadmap for financial freedom. And, it's not just about having tons of money, right?
Right.
It's about, designing a life where money works for you,
Absolutely.
not the other way around.
Exactly.
And luckily, we've got a guide here that's going to help us break it down into 7 clear steps.
That's right.
And I am so excited to unpack this with you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think, when we start to explore how we can really build that financial security that allows us to make choices that really align with our values. Think less about limitations and more about, what you want your life to look like.
Yeah, and speaking of what we want, this guide kicks off by, helping us define our financial goals. But it's not just about, making rent next month.
Yeah.
This is about dreaming big.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin with that?
Well, you're right. It is about getting really granular with those aspirations.
Yeah.
And this guide, actually, it calls them SMART goals.
SMART goals, okay.
Yeah, and it's an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, I like it. So, what would be an example of a short-term SMART goal?
So a short-term goal might be something like paying off a high-interest credit card to free up some of that cash flow each month.
Okay, yeah, tackling that debt, getting some quick wins. I like it.
Yeah.
What about goals that have, a longer timeline?
Yeah, so that's where our medium-term goals come in.
Okay.
And so think about things like saving for a down payment, or maybe even investing in yourself with a course to boost your earning potential.
Ooh, I like that.
These are those stepping stones to those bigger long-term dreams.
So if short term is about breathing room and medium term is about, building those skills and resources, what does a long-term SMART goal look like?
Yeah, so think really big picture here, early retirement, travel, starting that business you've always dreamed of. It's about really painting that vivid picture of the life you want, not just the balance in your bank account.
Oh, I love that. All right, so we've got these goals, we've, visualized them. What's the next step on this roadmap?
So this is where we lay the groundwork, and that is tracking our income and expenses.
Oh boy, here we go.
I know. But this guide emphasizes, it's not about restriction.
Right?
It's about awareness.
I like that.
Yeah, and there are a lot of different tools you can use for this. You can use a simple spreadsheet, or if you're a little bit more tech savvy, there's some great apps out there like Mint or YNF.
Yeah, I've heard of those. Okay, so no more, burying our heads in the sand when it comes to our spending.
Right.
But let's be honest, budgeting can feel kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
So any tips to make it less daunting?
Definitely. And this guide actually breaks down a really popular budgeting framework that's called the 50-30-20 rule. And it suggests allocating 50% of your income to essential expenses like your housing, your utilities, groceries, transportation.
Okay, so that makes sense, covering those essentials.
Right.
But life's not all about bills, right?
Absolutely not. And that's where the next 30% comes in.
Okay.
And this is allocated towards your wants.
Ooh.
So things like entertainment, your hobbies, dining out, that daily latte.
Right.
It's about finding that balance and enjoying life while still being financially responsible.
Okay, 50 for the needs, 30 for the wants. What about that last 20%?
This is where the magic happens.
Ooh, okay.
This is for your savings and debt repayment.
Okay.
It's about building that financial cushion and breaking free from those high interest burdens that are holding you back. And this guide actually suggests prioritizing both simultaneously.
So that 20% is like fuel, right? We're tackling debt, but we're also building for the future.
Exactly.
I like that. What happens, though, if, an unexpected expense pops up? We can't always predict those curveballs life throws at us, can we?
You're absolutely right. And that is why the next step is all about building an emergency fund.
Okay.
That safety net for those just-in-case moments.
Okay, so how much should we aim for in that emergency fund?
So this guide recommends having about 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up.
Okay.
But you might need a little bit more depending on your job security or if you have any dependents.
That makes sense. Okay, having that buffer does make me feel better, but saving that much can feel intimidating.
Yeah.
So where do we even start?
Start small. Even $50 or $100 a month is going to add up over time. Consistency is key.
Okay, that feels a little less scary.
Yeah, and this guide also really emphasizes keeping this money separate from your everyday spending, ideally in a high-yield savings account so it can earn a little interest.
Oh, so it's working for us while it's just sitting there.
Exactly.
I like that. So that emergency fund, it's tucked away, safely earning some interest.
Yes.
But what happens if we actually have to use it?
That's a great question.
Right.
So the most important thing is to replenish it as soon as possible.
Yes.
Think of it like a revolving safety net, always there when you need it.
Got it. Replenish, rebuild.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. You know what? I think it's time that we confront a topic that I think can feel like a major roadblock on the path to financial freedom, and that is debt.
It's true. It can be a heavy burden, but the sense of relief that comes with being debt-free is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And this guide really emphasizes first getting a clear picture of what you're dealing with.
Okay.
You know, list out each debt, the interest rate, the total amount owed, and then it's time to strategize.
Okay, so debt inventory, check. How do we choose the right approach for tackling it, though?
So this guide highlights two popular methods,
Okay.
the debt snowball and the debt avalanche.
Okay, tell me about the snowball.
So with the snowball method, you focus on paying off your smallest debts first.
Okay.
And that's just for that motivational boost.
Oh, so it's about seeing that progress, keeping that momentum going.
Exactly, especially if you're new to this whole debt payoff game.
Yeah. What about the avalanche method?
Yeah, so the debt avalanche focuses on tackling the debts with the highest interest rates first.
Okay.
And this can actually save you more money over time, although it might take a little bit longer to see those initial wins.
Okay, so snowball for motivation, avalanche for efficiency. I like it. Are there any other, tips for tackling debt? Anything else that this guide kind of, brings to light?
Yeah, don't be afraid to negotiate with your creditors.
Oh, okay.
You might be surprised at how willing they are to work with you, maybe lower those interest rates or adjust your payment plan.
That's a great point. Knowledge is power, and it never hurts to ask. But what about avoiding, new debt while we're paying off the existing balances?
Yeah, and so this guide really emphasizes living within your means and resisting those tempting credit card offers.
Yeah.
It's about breaking those habits and building that solid foundation for the future.
Solid advice. Now, with debt addressed, what is next on our financial freedom journey?
Next, we'll be exploring how to make your money work for you. Get ready to dive into the exciting world of investing.
All right. Let's unlock that power of investing and watch our wealth grow. All right, we've covered a lot of ground already, setting goals, mastering budgets, and even tackling that debt monster. Now, I'm excited to dive into a topic that feels almost magical investing. I'm ready to see those dollars multiply.
It is a bit like magic, especially when you understand the power of compound interest.
Oh yeah, compounding. Tell me more about that.
Well, this guide really emphasizes that the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow exponentially.
Wow.
It's like planting a seed that grows into a mighty oak tree over decades.
I love that visual, starting small but reaping big rewards down the line. But the world of investing can feel vast and complex, especially for someone like me who's, just starting out. How do we know where to even begin?
Well, one of the key principles this guide emphasizes is diversification.
Diversification, okay.
Not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right, yeah.
It suggests spreading your investments across different asset classes,
Like what? What kind of asset classes are we talking about?
like stocks, bonds, and even real estate.
Okay, so spreading the risk, that makes sense. But with so many different types of investments out there, how do we choose the right ones for us? What aligns with our goals, our risk tolerance, all of that.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The guide suggests looking into tax-advantaged retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs, which can offer some pretty nice tax breaks.
Tax breaks, I'm listening.
It also emphasizes the importance of continued learning, maybe exploring books, podcasts, or even consulting with a financial planner if that feels right for you.
So staying informed, maybe seeking out some expert advice when we need it. I like it. But what about all those potential profits we hear about from investing? How do we manage those returns to really maximize our growth?
Well, one really powerful strategy that the guide highlights is reinvesting your earnings.
Okay, so like putting those profits back into work even harder.
Exactly. By letting those profits compound, you're essentially putting your money to work, generating even more money.
Okay, reinvest those profits and let that magic of compounding do its thing. I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's like we're building this financial engine. But, this guide doesn't stop at traditional investing. It also dives into something that I find incredibly empowering, and that's building multiple streams of income.
That's right. Having multiple streams of income is like weaving a financial safety net.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, it not only provides more stability, reduces reliance on a single source of income, but also opens up a world of possibilities.
Multiple income streams. That sounds amazing. So where do we even begin with creating these financial rivers? What are some practical ideas?
Well, this guide is all about sparking imagination. One idea it explores is passive income, things that might require some effort upfront, but then can generate income with minimal ongoing work.
Passive income, earning money while you sleep. Sign me up. What kind of things are we talking about?
Things like rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, royalties from maybe creative works you've created, or even online courses that you create once and sell repeatedly.
Okay, those are some really interesting ideas. Passive income, it sounds amazing. Earning money while you sleep, travel, or pursue other passions. What other income-generating ideas does this guide present?
Well, it also encourages us to tap into those existing skills and talents that we already have.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe there's a hobby that you're passionate about that you could somehow monetize. Or perhaps you have expertise in a particular area that could translate into freelance work, consulting, or even starting a side business.
Ooh, I love that turning our passions into profits. It's like unlocking our inner entrepreneur. Are there any specific side hustle examples from the guide that really stood out to you?
Oh, yeah. It mentions a whole range. Everything from e-commerce ventures to teaching online courses to, offering specialized services based on your skills. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Wow, so many options. It's really about finding that niche that aligns with our passions, our expertise, and, going for it.
Yeah.
But what if we want to explore more tangible assets like real estate? I've always been intrigued by real estate, but it can feel overwhelming.
It definitely can. And this guide actually talks about real estate quite a bit. But it acknowledges that not everyone is ready to become a landlord or flip houses, right?
Right.
And so it suggests exploring REITs as an alternative.
REITs. Remind me what those are again.
Yeah, so REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trusts.
Right.
And these are companies that own or finance income-producing real estate.
Okay.
So investing in REITs allows you to kind of participate in the real estate market without the responsibilities of direct property ownership.
Okay, so REITs, a hassle-free way to dip our toes into the real estate world. I like it. Now, with all this talk about generating income, I'm curious about another aspect highlighted in the guide, protecting the wealth we've built. It's one thing to make it, but how do we make sure we keep it and grow it safely? What strategies does it recommend?
Well, one of the first lines of defense is comprehensive insurance. Think of it as your financial bodyguard,
I like that.
protecting you from those unexpected events that life can throw your way. And the guide stresses the importance of having adequate coverage for health, life, disability, and property.
Okay, so having that financial safety net in place definitely brings peace of mind. What other wealth protection strategies does this guide explore?
It also emphasizes the importance of estate planning. And that's not just for the super wealthy.
Right.
It's really about ensuring that your wishes are honored and your loved ones are taken care of, regardless of your net worth.
Estate planning, it feels like one of those things we often put off, thinking it's for someday down the road. Why does this guide stress its importance now?
Well, it's really about taking control and making sure that, things are handled according to your wishes. The guide highlights key documents like a will, a trust, a power of attorney, and a healthcare directive.
Okay, so those documents can help ensure that our wishes are respected, our loved ones are protected, all of that. Any other wealth protection strategies we should be aware of?
It also reminds us that, our financial plan should kind of evolve with us as our lives change.
Okay.
Regular review and adjustments are really essential to keep it aligned with our goals and our circumstances.
So review, reassess, and adjust. Got it. We've covered so much ground today, from defining those financial goals and mastering our budgets to exploring the world of investing and even building multiple income streams.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And this guide has been packed with actionable advice. I feel like I have a notebook full of things that I need to do now.
That's great.
I'm excited.
That's what we want.
Yeah, for sure. But before we wrap up, I have one, final question for you.
Okay.
This guide has given us so many practical tools and strategies, but what does financial freedom, truly mean to you?
That's a great question. For me, it's about having the resources and the flexibility to pursue my passions,
Mm-hmm.
spend quality time with my loved ones, and make a positive impact on the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's about living a life of purpose and fulfillment where money is a tool to empower my choices, not dictate them.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's not just about the numbers. It's
Uh,
about the life we want to create.
Exactly.
It's about, having the freedom to pursue our dreams, make a difference, and live a life that's, truly meaningful and aligned with our values.
That's it exactly.
Mhm.
Financial freedom is about designing a life that reflects who you are
Mm.
and what you want to achieve.
I love that. And that, my friend, is the ultimate goal. We hope this deep dive into financial freedom has inspired you to take control of your finances, create that secure future, and design a life that truly lights you up. And remember, financial freedom is within your reach.
Absolutely.
It all starts with a vision, a plan, and that commitment to take action.
You got it.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to build a life you love.
That's the key.
That's it for today's episode of Wealth Hustle 247. Be sure to follow, comment, and share with others. Keep pushing toward your goals, and we'll see you in the next episode.